Now on the APEC VIP hotline, cutting-edge training for the serious athlete, apecgo.com, covering the Texas Tech Red Raiders and running a radio station, Double T 104.3. Our old buddy Jamie Lent. How you doing, Jamie?
I'm doing great, Brian. Hope you're doing well.
Doing very well. Good to talk to you. Shame there's nothing going on up in Lubbock these days.
Man, last Saturday we thought we finally had our first weekend. No football games, no basketball games. We were all going to get to have a little time off and spend time with the family, and then pretty much all heck broke loose.
Tubbs walk out on your dinner too?
No, he did not walk out on me at dinner. He did not, but he caused me to miss dinner. How about that? I had to go to a press conference announcing his resignation. So
Man.
There you go.
All right, before we get to Kingsbury, what do you make of that? I mean, the only word that comes to mind after reading those stories over what happened over the weekend with his recruits is scumbag.
Yeah, it does scream of some serious issues there. And maybe a lot of, when you lose a little integrity in that situation or a little respect for a guy, if that's really what's going on, and from all accounts that did happen. There are also reports of assistant coaches that are still being paid by Texas Tech that are actively recruiting for Cincinnati. So there's some anger and issues going on there. But, for the most part, Brian, when you look at the situation and you look at what Tommy Tuberville did, he knew that he was in trouble here. There was talks between him and the athletic director after the regular season ended, and I think there were a lot of questions as to whether or not he was going to keep his job at that point. So going into the final 2 years of his contract, I think he knew that he was kind of skating on thin ice here. Had never been a guy that the fan base was behind, partly because of the Leach issue, partly because he just didn't seem to fit here. It didn't seem to fit in the Big 12 conference with his style. And I think he knew that if he would have, leaving for Cincinnati was great job security for him, because I think he felt like next year would be a do-or-die season for him here in Lubbock. And moving away to Cincinnati, first of all, he got a raise. Reports are that he got a 5-year deal worth $3 million each season, so he got a raise from what he was getting paid here, so that made sense. I don't think anybody could question him in that regard, but I think he knew that, like I said, he was skating on thin ice here, and he has got, a honeymoon period there at Cincinnati. It's a heck of a lot easier to win in the Big East or Big Least, whatever you want to call it, than it is in the Big 12 and in Lubbock, Texas. So I think he made a smart business move. But if you're looking at it from the competitive side of things, if you're a competitor and if you're a coach, you want to win and you want to play and compete at the highest levels, and to go from the Big 12 to the Big East, I think that's where a lot of people are really confused with his decision.
Well, and then when it happened, it's made the Tech job look awfully bad, because if you would leave the Big 12 to go to the Big East, you're sitting there looking at it on the outside looking in going, what in the world? Because Cincinnati, all that is a stepping stone job. The facilities aren't great. The fan support is so-so. It just looked like it looked to me like it was going to make the Tech job look bad. It might make it look bad for recruits.
Yeah, absolutely, and I think that's why a lot of Texas Tech people were offended, because I think a lot of Tech people expected Tuberville to leave. When the Red Raiders got off to a 6-1 start this year, I think all of us believed that he would bail from one of those open, available SEC jobs. And I don't think anybody would have been shocked by that. I don't think anybody would have been that offended by that. But to leave the Big 12 and leave Texas Tech for a team in the Big East, a conference that you don't know if it's going to, how much longer it's going to exist, I think that did offend a lot of Texas Tech fans and did anger them. And that's kind of what it was about making the program look bad by what he's doing. But then when you dive into it a little bit more and you dig into it and you look at it and you say, yeah, it's a situation where it was a financial decision for him, and it was a decision where he knew that he was basically creating some job security for himself, and really it wasn't about Texas Tech, then I think it makes a little bit more sense.
So, bottom line, did he leave the program in better shape than when he got there?
Well, recruiting-wise, definitely the cupboard is more full now than it was when he took over. Because as we all know, Mike Leach was a mastermind at a lot of things, but he didn't put a lot of stock into recruiting, especially on the defensive side of the ball. And when Tuberville got here, there was just absolutely no depth on defense, and it showed through his 3-year tenure where he went 20-17. But defensively, there was really never anything great. Art Kaufman came in as the defensive coordinator this year. Texas Tech ended up 39th in the nation in defense, which was a huge step up from 117th a year ago. But I still think when you look at what Tuberville did as far as the recruiting side of things and also raising money, the facilities, we've had 2 upgrades to the stadium since he's been here. We're about to get a huge video jumbotron type thing in the north end of our stadium. The money that's been raised by Tuberville, and those were the things that he was really good at, has put us as a better program than we were 3 years ago. So I think there's pros and cons to his tenure here, but overall I would say it's a better situation, a better program now than it was when he took it over.
Okay. Jamie Lent, Double T 104.3 in Lubbock, covering the Texas Tech Red Raiders. And then the word comes down right before we left the air yesterday at 6 that Kirby Hocutt had made the announcement that Cliff Kingsbury is going to be the next head football coach at Texas Tech. Your reaction?
Well, I think the fan base at Texas Tech is once again back together again because they have a Red Raider, one of their own, and obviously Cliff was a great player for Texas Tech, had some experience in the NFL, and 2-time assistant coach of the year in college football the last 2 seasons. Led A&M to, or helped lead A&M to a 10-2 season this year. Helped Johnny Manziel win the Heisman Trophy. So I think a lot of people are excited about what he can bring. He's a guy that is thought to be one of the young offensive great minds in college football, and everybody's excited about that. But there's also a little bit of nervousness just because he does not have a ton of experience at the college level as a coach. So this is his first head coaching job, but I think many people believe at one point he's going to be a great head coach. So I think Texas Tech kind of felt like first and foremost, he's one of ours, and he may not be perfect in year one, but in the long run, it's going to be the right thing for Texas Tech. And I think there was a lot of people that were worried because of the Tuberville situation. They wanted a guy that they knew wasn't looking at this as a stepping stone job. They wanted a guy that they knew was one of them and that wanted to be here, and which everybody always said Tuberville was 1 foot in, 1 foot out. And Kingsbury is believed to be a guy that, bleeds red and black just like the rest of us, and will be happy to be here for a long, long time.
Any concern he's only 33?
Absolutely. Well, actually, it shouldn't be with the age. I could care less how old he is, but I think there's concern with the experience.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, this is a guy that's only been coaching Division I football for about 5 years now. He's worked under Kevin Sumlin, and I hope, learned a lot from him. Obviously, another great offensive mind. So that's positive, and I think that a lot of fans are excited about that, but you just don't know. I think the important thing for Kingsbury at this point is to surround himself with some veteran coaches, specifically the 2 coordinators. I think he needs some guys with some skins on the wall that have been there and done that in the Big 12 or the ACC or the SEC, some conferences, that obviously are thought to be the better conferences. But I think he needs some experience around him. I think that people believe he's going to be a great recruiter because of his age, because he can relate to the players. I think the players are going to love playing for him. All of that is positive, but I think that it would be silly for people not to worry a little bit about the experience factor, because it's one thing to run an offense, but it's a whole other thing, in my opinion, to run a complete program. I mean, you have to be the face of the program. You're dealing with recruits, you're dealing with the alumni base, you're dealing with donors, you're setting up practice plans every day. I mean, those are big things that you don't really experience or know how to do until you've done it. So I think he needs some veteran coaches around him.
Saw a great comparison today. Mac Engel at the Fort Worth Star-Telegram was comparing him to what Northwestern did when they hired Pat Fitzgerald, who's 31 when he got the job. The question is, will the Tech fans and the administration give him the time to grow into the job that he's going to need?
I think they absolutely will, because he is a Red Raider, and because everybody loved him when he was here at Tech. Obviously, set a ton of national and school records as the Red Raider signal caller, and he's a guy that's always been very complimentary to his time here at Tech. And I think the fan base wants one of theirs, and the fact that he is a Red Raider, I think that'll buy him a little bit extra time, whereas maybe a Chad Morris, who was the other major candidate, wouldn't have had that much time. The fan base may turn on him a little quicker. So I think Cliff Kingsbury definitely is going to have a bit of a honeymoon period. But at the same time, you know what? If you want the fan base to support you, it's all about winning games. And he may be a former Red Raider, but 2 years in, if you're not winning games, it'll be out the door. Let's find somebody that can help us win.
It's good old, man, there's nothing like college football, right?
Hey, absolutely. Hey, we love you. You're one of ours, but we want somebody that can help us win. So, and I think that, I think that it's great to see the Tech fan base excited again, because I'll be the first to tell you, Bryan, it's been a huge split between the two, infighting all the time, and it's just so crazy and disappointing. And I think Kingsbury is a hire that brings the fan base back together again. And now if he can win on top of that, man, we'll all be loving each other, hugs and kisses all day long.
Now, when does he meet the city?
He'll meet the media tomorrow at a little press conference / pep rally at the United Spirit Arena.
A little conference?
Little one. I'm sure it'll be. I'm sure the arena
20,000 in the gym.
Yeah. Something like that. You know, I think the gym holds 16. We're expecting standing room only for it. So he yesterday met with the media just a little bit. We had late last night, we do the thing around here called we ring the bells, the victory bells after every victory. Well, we rang the victory bells in honor of Cliff Kingsbury last night, and he was out to greet some of the Texas Tech fans. So it's great to see him kind of really enjoying his new role.
Now, do you know if he's going to stay on with A&M and call the plays at the Cotton Bowl?
We have not heard that yet.
Okay.
We have not heard that yet. So, you know, and I think there's a lot of people out there that kind of hope that he does, just because I think that shows a little integrity, and we don't feel like he should bail on the current job that he has. So I think the Texas Tech fan base, because they know he's not really going to be involved in the Red Raiders preparation for the Meineke Car Care Bowl down in Houston, I think most of the Texas Tech fan base would be fine with him doing that.
And you know, it must be really cool to be able to walk into a recruit's house and say, you know that Johnny Manziel, I did that.
Absolutely, no doubt. And I'll tell you this, Bryan, the quarterback that Texas Tech has waiting in the wings behind Seth Dagey and Michael Brewer, obviously a kid who won a couple state championships, won 4 total, but is the starting quarterback at Lake Travis, probably is excited about a Red Raider fan base, excited about this quarterback as they were when Graham Harrell came in.
Wow.
So I think there's a connection between Michael Brewer, who, oh, by the way, wears number 16, just like Kingsbury did here at Texas Tech, and Cliff Kingsbury, the connection between the two of them. I think we're all expecting great things from that combination.
Well, good deal. It looks like it's going to be a great hire, if for no other reason like what you just said. It does unite the fan base, and it finally gets everybody past Mike Leach. And obviously Tommy Tuberville wasn't in love with being at Tech and wasn't going to stay there long-term anyway. So this looks like a really good hire for them long-term.
Well, as we know, when the fan base is excited, the fan base spends money, and they show up at the games, and money is the lifeblood of a college football program. So all those things matter, and let's just hope he's as good of a head coach as he is an offensive coordinator, because he's been a great one the last few years.
Great to talk to you, brother.
You too, Bryan. Tell all my friends in East Texas hello. I miss being out there, but I'm having a good time out here in Lubbock.
Just eating dust and enjoying flatlands, huh?
It is flat out here, no doubt.
Hey, man, it's great talking to you. Hope you have a Merry Christmas, and my best to you, your wife, and your growing family there.
All right, thanks, Bryan. You too. Take care.
All right, Jamie Lent from Double T 104.3 on Bryan Houston Sports Radio Live on 99.3 Talk FM.